Why do we sometimes do things we just don't understand? Well, today we're going to dive deep into that very question through a story about hidden memories and secret feelings, a story we're calling The Locked Rooms. All right, so let's get right into it. Meet Daniel. He's 30. And, on the surface, he seems like a totally normal guy, just living his life. But that simple little fact, it's hiding something way, way more complicated. See, the thing is, Daniel doesn't really get himself. He has these sudden flashes of anger over the absolute smallest things, and he has no idea where it's coming from. It just feels totally random, completely out of his control. And it's not just that. It gets more specific. There are triggers. A boss, maybe a police officer, basically any authority figure, and bam, he feels it. This physical reaction, a tightening in his chest. It's like an alarm bell is screaming inside him, but he can't for the life of him figure out what the danger is. And this, right here, gets to the very heart of his problem. Whenever he tries to look back, to find the source of all this, he just hits a wall, blank spaces. Parts of his own past are foggy, incomplete. It's like there are these locked rooms inside the house of his own mind. So that's our central theme. Daniel is quite literally a man with locked rooms, living with huge parts of himself completely walled off, totally inaccessible to his conscious mind. And this quote, this really gets to the core idea of psychoanalysis. The person you think you are, your daily thoughts, your habits, your conscious self, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's really going on is happening on a whole other level, something quiet, hidden, and incredibly powerful. Okay. So let's go there, shall we? Let's take a look at that hidden level, the one that holds the keys to all of Daniel's locked rooms. So what is this place? Well, it's the unconscious mind. And let me tell you, it's not some dusty attic for forgotten stuff. Oh no. It is an active, living reservoir of everything we've ever had to push away. All those feelings, those desires, those memories, they're not gone. They're just out of sight, pulling the strings from behind the curtain. So, if this world is so hidden, how does it ever make itself known? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't stay buried forever. It is always finding ways to break through, to replay the past right here in the present. And check this out. It's a perfect example from Daniel's therapy. He's talking about his dad, trying to be all casual, he even laughs it off. But his body is telling a completely different story. His conscious mind is trying to dismiss it, but his unconscious, it's clenching its fists, ready for a fight. This kind of internal contradiction, it actually has a name. It's called a defense mechanism. But here's what's so crucial to understand. This is not a weakness. Not at all. It's a survival strategy. Something his mind built way back when to protect him from anxiety or pain that felt overwhelming. And believe me, the mind has a whole toolkit for this stuff. There's repression, which is like locking a memory in a vault and throwing away the key. Then you've got denial, just flat out refusing to accept a reality that's too threatening. There's projection, where you accuse others of the anger you can't stand in yourself. And displacement? That's why Daniel gets so angry at small things. He's shifting his emotions onto a much safer target. So, as the therapy sessions go on, something really fascinating starts to happen. The therapy room itself becomes a kind of stage. Daniel's feelings toward his therapist begin to shift dramatically. But here's the twist. It has absolutely nothing to do with her. This is a huge concept in psychoanalysis. It's called transference. What's happening is he's unconsciously casting his therapist in a role from his past, a critical parent maybe, or a distant loved one. All those old patterns, the old wounds, are literally replaying themselves right there in the room. So that begs the question, right? If he's just replaying old patterns, where did that original blueprint come from? To understand the locked rooms, we have to go all the way back to the construction site, his childhood. Now, according to Freudian theory, our personality is built in stages, and each one has a core conflict to resolve. If that conflict isn't fully worked through, part of our emotional energy can get kind of stuck there. This creates a fixation that can repeat throughout life. Think about Daniel's intense need for control. That might stem from the anal stage, or his issues with authority. That could be an echo from the phallic stage. So, as you can imagine, all this creates a constant internal conflict inside Daniel's mind, day in and day out. His anxiety isn't just a symptom, it's the sound of an ongoing battle. Think of it like this. On one side, you have The id. It's the impulsive, primal part of us that wants what it wants, and it wants it now. And fighting it is the superego, our internalized conscience, that inner critic that demands perfection and punishes us with guilt. And who's caught in the middle of this constant tug-of-war? The ego. You can think of it as the mind's totally exhausted manager, desperately trying to satisfy the id's desires, appease the superego's demands, and still function in the real world. Daniel's anxiety is the exhaustion of that mediator.
So, with all this drama happening out of sight, how does the unconscious ever communicate with us? Well, sometimes, when our guard is down, when we're asleep, it sends a message, but it's in code.
Daniel has this dream, and it's one of those dreams that just sticks with you, you know? It's unsettling, symbolic, and feels incredibly meaningful. The house, the doors, the crying child, it's a direct metaphor for his inner world. Psychoanalysis looks at dreams on two levels. The manifest content is the story you remember, the house and the doors. But the real key is the latent content, the hidden meaning. The locked doors are his defense mechanisms, and the crying child, that's a lost, wounded part of himself he had to lock away a long, long time ago. So, as Daniel continues on this journey, what's the end goal? Does therapy just make all these painful rooms and memories, poof, disappear forever? Well, the answer is no. The past isn't erased. The locked rooms are still there, but he starts to find the keys. The goal isn't forgetting, it's understanding. It's learning to walk through the corridors of his own mind without being afraid of what's behind the doors. And this really is the ultimate takeaway. Psychoanalysis suggests that true, lasting change doesn't come from just fixing our behaviors on the surface. It comes from having the courage to face the hidden, unconscious forces that made us who we are, and in doing so, finally setting ourselves free.